Good Morning Maryland begins now with breaking news.
Okay, we got two breaking news stories at this hour. This is a live look at Pentridge Road, right off Loch Raven Boulevard, where police are investigating a body that's been found in a car. This is just outside the Morgan View Residence Hall, so next to Morgan State University there in Northeast Baltimore. You can see this is still a very active scene. As you look close, you might see marks on that window. Police obviously going to investigate whether those are gunshot holes in the window of that silver car. The whole area, though, is cordoned off with crime tape. We're still working to get details from police on that body found in Northeast Baltimore. We're also following breaking news out of East Baltimore, where crews are on the scene of a deadly fire. This is a live picture of that scene, the 600 block of Biddle Street. So it's just off Greenmount Avenue, a few blocks south of Greenmount Cemetery, and a few blocks north of all those correctional facilities in East Baltimore, east of downtown. The fire department says a body was found on the first floor of that three-story vacant home, which was burning. There are several vacant homes on that block of Biddle. So again, breaking news, a body found in a vacant home in East Baltimore. The person has not been identified. We'll have more information on both of those breaking news stories as we get it. And we're also, of course, following that developing story in downtown Baltimore, the sinkhole eating its way through a busy intersection. It will affect commuters once again today. Some of the biggest streets downtown remain closed. We have WMAR 2 News' Mark Roper right at that intersection, Howard and Pratt. So, Mark, you've got a great view of the work that's going on right now. Is there any idea on how long that work is going to take?
Good morning, Christian. Well, it looks like the nightmare that commuters have been dealing with all week long will continue into the weekend, as this affects people who are not only in their cars but also taking light rail or the bus. And you can see crews are out here. They've been working throughout the night. They've been pouring concrete within the hour, trying to fill that sinkhole that was created by the collapse. But the hole here was made worse after a handicap ramp collapsed Tuesday night. And complicating matters even more, rain is on the way. City officials have no idea how long this will take to fix, but say they will reevaluate the situation Friday morning. Howard and Pratt streets remain closed for now. Light rail service is still out between North Avenue and Camden Yards and is expected to be out for several weeks. Riders have to take a shuttle service between those two stops, and CityLink bus service stops have been affected and they've been moved over to Utah Street. Work continues to stabilize the road, but city officials say there's still a lot more they have to do underground.
We have the forecast of rain, so the work you can see behind us is largely to divert any rain away from that void in that site. And they're also working on bypasses around the storm drain system, so you're going to see some tubes or pipes across Howard and Pratt to deal with that. But again, our number one focus is on public safety, the safety of the workers.
Now, as far as that DOT worker who was seriously hurt Monday during the vault collapse, he is still in the ICU, but is now responsive. And you can see that crews are still working out here, trying to put concrete in that hole to fill up the sinkhole. We are live in downtown Baltimore. Mark Roper, WMAR 2 News.
Okay, Mark, thanks very much for that. We'll check with Lauren on how the traffic's moving in just a few minutes. Meantime, a man's in critical condition after he was rescued from a pond in Baltimore County. Happened just after 6 o'clock last night at Golden Ring Park near Rosedale. People at a basketball court nearby heard that man yelling from the pond for help.
Bystanders heard someone screaming, and they were attempting rescue themselves. Unfortunately, those attempts were unsuccessful. Our units from Baltimore County and the dive team arrived, and based on the information that the bystanders gave us, we had a pretty good location on the individual who was underwater at that time. Our dive team entered the water, were able to locate the subject fairly quickly, bring him to the surface, and he was transported via EMS to a local hospital.
Okay, so they're still not sure how the man ended up in the water or what went wrong once he got in there. There are signs at that pond saying that swimming is not allowed. 6:33 right now, police in Anne Arundel County are looking for a man who assaulted and robbed a 77-year-old woman in Glen Burnie. It happened as she was eating a sandwich in her car. As WMAR 2 News' Don Harrison found out, not every woman eating by herself makes for an easy target.
A couple of weeks ago, a 77-year-old woman was sitting at this McDonald's parking lot eating her food when a man came up to her car.
So the suspect opened that driver's side door, assaulted our victim, pushed her back into the seat and causing some injuries, reached across her, stole her purse, and then took off.
County police have not found the suspect yet, so they released these surveillance photos so the public can get a look at this burger bandit.
The robber was awful daring to steal this woman's purse in broad daylight. He was also very lucky he didn't choose this woman as a victim. Meet Nancy Radigan.
I think that's why I carry a stun gun and mace.
I was a little skeptical about her arsenal. She removed any doubt I had.
When I became handicapped, which I am, I knew I couldn't run. When you don't have the option to run, then you got to stand your ground.
If it was up to her, she would be standing her ground with more than a stun gun.
If Maryland had concealed carry, I'd have that.
So as Radigan continues to finish her meal, she has a message for any would-be robbers out there.
Don't mess with the old ladies. We come to win.
In Glen Burnie, Don Harrison, WMAR 2 News.
Yeah, Don's lucky he didn't sneak up on that lady too quickly. By the way, if you think you recognize the person in those surveillance photos, you're asked to call Anne Arundel County Police. Right now, let's send it to Chief Meteorologist Lynette Charles for that Thursday forecast.
All right, Christian, yeah, it's going to be a rough go of things. Already those forecast headlines. The air that you wear is back for today. Strong to severe thunderstorms are possible as we go into the afternoon. And then another heat wave is on the way. So it is going to be a rough go of things over the next several days, starting with today. Davidsonville, we can see the clouds out there right now. We do have some areas that have some thunderstorms going on, some heavy rain, I should say, really being put down at this point. They're weakening a little bit, but with the yellows, the oranges, some heavy to moderate rain coming in, and we will have more thunderstorm activity with some heavy rain coming in a little bit later this afternoon. But around Bel Air up through Dublin this morning, we do see that heavy rain, even back off towards Abingdon. Lots of moisture that we're working with those dew points in the 70s, and that's why I say the air that you wear is back this morning, this afternoon. Temperatures are in the upper 70s in some spots, mid 70s in most spots, and as we go throughout the day, just know that we will be humid with more showers and thunderstorms and high temperatures right around 88. Let's go check that traffic with Lauren.
Thanks, Lynette. The weather not helping with the issues in downtown Baltimore. It all follows Monday's water main break. Several roadways remain shut down, including Pratt Street. That is closed between Packa Street and Sharp Street. If you're traveling in the area, you need to stick with Mulberry Street or Baltimore Street. Southbound Howard blocked between Lombard Street and Conway Street, and then northbound 395 is closed at Conway Street. You'll be forced to turn right to access Charles Street or Light Street. No word yet on when the roadways will reopen. The light rail is expected to be down for several weeks. No service between North Avenue and Camden Yards. Southbound 895 is clear here at the 95 split, but it will slow down as you approach the Harbor Tunnel due to long-term construction. 95 and 83 are in the green. 695 just starting to slow down on the west side outer loop at Baltimore National Pike. Drive times only show a 3-minute delay, though, getting from 795 to 95. Christian, over to you.
Okay, Lauren, thanks very much. Coming up, highlights from this year's ESPY Awards, and Starbucks has a new item on the menu, but you really want to like colorful drinks, or you or the kids might like this one. Also, with all the flooding and the storms that have been happening all over the country, it might be a good idea to double check your insurance coverage. Details on how to do that after this break. It is 6:37 right now. You're watching Good Morning Maryland live from Television Park in Baltimore. 6:40 right now, biggest night in sports happening last night in Los Angeles. The U.S. women's soccer star Alex Morgan won for best female athlete. The entire U.S. women's soccer team took home the award for the best team. That's after their World Cup win in France over the weekend and the ticker tape parade they had yesterday in New York City. In fact, the ladies flew from there straight to L.A. for the ESPYs after that parade. They had to get the makeup done on the plane. As for the awards, the Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo won best athlete last night. That's why they just call him Giannis.
You know, as a kid, you know, I never thought I'm going to win the ESPY. So this is all about hard work. When you believe in your dreams, things like this can happen.
Earlier this week, WMAR 2 News' Sean Stepner gave out an honorary Emmy to Miles Taylor, the strong man from Carroll County who has cerebral palsy. A great award for him as well. Got those stories up on the website right now, WMAR2news.com. Okay, how about a new kind of Frappuccino just for the next 4 days? If the supplies last that long, it's called the tie-dye Frappuccino at Starbucks. It's an icy blended drink, only available at participating stores. Tropical cream Frappuccino base, dashes of red beets, turmeric, is that how you say that? Turmeric, and something called spirulina, and whipped cream. Plenty of whipped cream, a dusting of colored powder as well. Not a healthy option in any respect. 16 ounce has a 400 calories, 60 grams of carbs, and 58 grams of sugar. How about just some coffee black? You'll be much better off. Scammers are stepping up their game. Coming up, new techniques they're using trying to steal more of your information over the phone. And with all the flooding and severe weather we've been having, you might want to think about checking on your insurance in case something happens to your home. It is 6:42 right now. You're watching Good Morning Maryland. Okay, robocallers are starting to get more clever. There's a new warning from a company called First Orion saying they're focusing on quality over quantity, the robocallers. So they're trying to find better potential victims. They're prepared with more personal information, so they've got a better idea of how they want to scam people compared with the older robocall model of just calling everybody as much as possible. Scammers are trying to use the information they have to spoof the numbers that they call from, so they want to make the number that they're calling from appear familiar for when they're calling you or your family members. If your home was hit by a fire, a flood, even a tornado, would you be fully covered by insurance? It turns out that many people are not. WMAR 2 News consumer reporter John Matarese will show you why you may be underinsured and how to fix it so you don't waste your money.
2019 is turning out to be another year of billion-dollar weather disasters, flooding, tornadoes, and we're barely starting hurricane season. But already some families are learning they're not fully insured for the damage their home suffered. Imagine coming home to this after a tornado wiped out your home.
Kind of crappy, like seeing all of our stuff like everywhere.
But every time a bad storm hits, some homeowners learn they're not fully covered to rebuild.
There are some people that are trying to save a few dollars and they may not be covered or even properly covered.
Insurance Board VP Jennifer Pike says you need to have full replacement coverage, not just coverage for what you paid.
You might be able to buy the home for $250,000, but it could cost upwards of $1 million to replace it.
Now, many people who live in apartments assume that their property would be covered under their landlord's insurance policy. Sadly, though, that's rarely the case. Every time an apartment building burns,
2 tenants upstairs, I don't believe they had renter's insurance, so they are looking at a significant loss.
Jennifer Pike says many renters own $20,000 in clothing, TVs, and electronics. A couple $100 in renter's insurance would have covered the losses. Finally, be sure to take inventory. Use your phone to take pictures of everything from your TV to appliances to your movie collection to jewelry. Here we have a stack of movies. To make it easier, there's an app for that. TheBalance.com's best home inventory apps for 2019 are Sortly, Memento Database, Nest Egg, and My Stuff Too. Some of those apps charge a small fee, so check with your insurance agent. A number of insurers offer this service free, so you don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese, WMAR 2 News.
Okay, good story there. Now let's check on the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Lynette Charles here at 6:46 this morning.
All right, let's take a look at what's going on this morning. We'll start you out with a look at the temperatures as we do have these numbers coming in. Around 73 degrees in a lot of spots this morning, like Parkville. We're seeing this around Lock Raven this morning. Towson, good morning, Hamden. You're coming at 73 and also at the Inner Harbor. 74s, though, right now around Canton. As we look at the muggy meter, this will continue to engulf us as we go through the rest of today. So the muggy's already out there, not going anywhere anytime soon. And we are dealing with a tropical air mass really pretty much on top of us for the rest of today. So we definitely do have that UGG face. The air that you wear is here this morning, this afternoon, and we're still going to have some humidity as we go into your Friday as well. The satellite and radar not picking up on a whole lot right now. We do have some isolated showers out there, but the bulk of the stormy activity will really get in here as we head towards the afternoon. This morning, if you're stepping out the door, if you are in Harford County around Dublin, Havre de Grace, Abingdon, all getting in on some moderate to heavy rain coming in across the area. Grab the rain gear before you head out and about. Even if it's not raining where you live right now, there's a better chance that you will get hit this afternoon. The radar back off towards the cold front back off towards the west will continue to work its way off to the east, and this is the reason why we will be dealing with some scattered showers, some thunderstorms that could turn severe as we go into the afternoon. So we are in the yellows on a scale of 1 to 5. That's a 2 risk, a slight risk, and the biggest threats for today will be the damaging wind, but also I can't rule out an isolated tornado, and another big threat is going to be the heavy rain. With that, we already do have some flash flood watches that we're talking about. I'll show you that in a matter of moments as well. But the timing on this, I'd say between 3 o'clock, 10 o'clock this evening, and this will come in the bulk of your commute home this afternoon. So that's what we will prepare for. Again, some of those thunderstorms are going to be on the strong side of things, and this is what we're working with because we will be putting down plenty of rain across the area. We do have that flash flood watch that goes into effect at 2 o'clock this afternoon for all the areas here shaded in the green coloring. So that means the potential for flooding is there for today. Now let's talk about what's happening in the tropics, right? So we do have the potential tropical cyclone 2. It is not a depression quite yet. We're thinking that that's what's going to happen maybe for the next advisory that comes out. What time is it right now? So it's about 6:49. Next advisory will be out at 8 o'clock. So we'll see if this becomes a depression at that point. And then from there, tropical storm, that's what it will be named, to Barry. And then we're looking at a Cat 1 before this is all said and done, maybe Saturday early in the morning. And then we're looking at landfall late Saturday, possibly early Sunday. We'll continue to monitor that for you. But this thing is already really causing problems, as we do have tropical storm watches and hurricane watches along the Gulf Coast. And this is what it's going to do with the winds. Again, tropical storm force wind gusts will be there and some heavy rain before it's all said and done. The center of the storm could get up to about 2 feet of rain. Let's get a check of that traffic now with Lauren.
Thanks, Lynette. Traffic is still a mess in downtown Baltimore, all due to Monday's water main break. Pratt Street remains closed between Packa Street and Sharp Street. Stick with Mulberry Street or Baltimore Street instead. Southbound Howard Street also blocked between Lombard and Conway, and then northbound 395 is closed at Conway. You'll be forced to turn right onto Conway. You can take that to access Charles Street or Light Street, and there's no light rail service. It's expected to be down for weeks between North Avenue and Camden Yards. There are limited shuttle buses that are in place. If you're commuting into Baltimore, southbound 895 is slow as you approach the Harbor Tunnel. Unfortunately, new delays at the Fort McHenry Tunnel. There's a disabled vehicle southbound. It blocks the right lane of the right tube. 83 is in the green. 695 jammed in Parkville and the outer loop in Harford Road. And the west side, drive times have worsened. Right now, you're looking at a 7-minute delay to get from 795 to 95. Christian?
Okay, Lauren, thanks very much. Coming up on Good Morning America, live reports on the approach of that storm Lynette was talking about there along the Gulf Coast. And a heartbreaking maternity mix-up. A couple files a lawsuit against a fertility center after giving birth to babies that were not biologically theirs. Dr. Jennifer Ashton is going to be on GMA this morning talking about what went wrong there. It is 6:50 right now. You're watching Good Morning Maryland. Okay, 6:53 right now. Welcome back into Good Morning Maryland, where we are following 2 breaking news stories. This is a live look at a scene right near Morgan State University in Northeast Baltimore, where a body has been found inside of a car. Now, the car was parked along Loch Raven Boulevard right near Pentridge Road. So if you know that area, that is just outside the Morgan View apartment complex, which is a complex used primarily by Morgan State University students. The car, though, parked on Loch Raven Boulevard right near there. We'll continue to follow that story, bring you more information as we get it. We're also following breaking news out of East Baltimore. Crews remain on the scene of a fire that they have now learned is fatal. This is a live picture from that scene, the 600 block of East Biddle Street, so a few blocks south of Greenmount Cemetery, a block or so west of Greenmount Avenue. And that fire, you can see the charred windows right there to the very left of your screen. The fire department says the body was found on the first floor of that 3-story vacant home. The victim in that case has not been identified. There are, though, as you can see, several vacant homes on that block, and we'll continue to follow those stories and bring you updates throughout the morning here on Good Morning Maryland online, as well as our cut-ins to Good Morning America. A developing story in downtown Baltimore, that sinkhole eating its way through part of the Pratt and Howard Street intersection. It will affect commuters once again today because those are some of the biggest streets downtown, and they are still closed. We have WMAR 2 News' Mark Roper overlooking that intersection with an update on potentially when things could be fixed. Mark, do we have any idea?
Morning, Christian. Well, city officials say they're not sure yet, and the wet weather that is expected on the way is certainly not going to help these crews either. And within the last hour, we've seen them out here pour concrete into the sinkhole. This is a big headache for commuters trying to get around or through downtown. Light rail service is out between North Avenue and Camden Yards and is expected to be out for several weeks. Crews have been working through the night to fill the sinkhole and stabilize the road, but city officials say there's still a lot more they have to do underground. And we're not that far from Camden Yards, and the Orioles are back in town tomorrow night. So if you're headed to Camden Yards this weekend, just make sure you give yourself some extra time to catch them play. We are live in downtown Baltimore. Mark Roper, WMAR 2 News.
Yeah, that could be an interesting series this weekend with folks trying to get to Camden Yards. Let's get one last check of the traffic and the weather. Will start with Chief Meteorologist Lynette Charles, because with everything else going on, we could have some severe weather today.
Exactly. It's going to be a rough go of it. We already do have some rain in some spots this morning. Very isolated nature. The camera network not picking up on a whole lot right now. We will definitely take it. It'll Oh, what's that on the camera? Morgan State. That's disgusting. We do have plenty of clouds across the area this morning, but we're also going to have a few peaks of sunshine, which is not a good thing. That's just going to aid in some of those thunderstorms as we go into the afternoon with all that moisture out there. Speaking of the moisture, we do have a flash flood watch that goes into effect at 2 o'clock this afternoon. All the areas there shaded in the green. So what this means is that there is a potential for flash flooding as we go through the afternoon into the evening. This is what we look like on the satellite radar. There's the heavier rain coming in as I zoom in around Harford County, around Cecil County this morning. If you are around Havre de Grace, Aberdeen, up towards northeast, it will be upon you pretty soon. So be prepared for that isolated shower thunderstorm this morning, and then more action as we go into the afternoon. High temperatures today will be right around 88 degrees on the seasonal side, but more importantly, some of the thunderstorms could put down an isolated tornado, damaging winds, and once again, the biggest threat will be the rain. Let's get a check of the traffic with Lauren.
Thanks, Lynette. The weather is not helping the situation in downtown Baltimore. Monday's water main break continues to shut down Pratt Street. That's shut down between Paca and Sharp Street. Use Mulberry Street or Baltimore Street. Southbound Howard Street also closed between Lombard and Conway, and then northbound 395 is closed at Conway. There's no light rail service between North Avenue and Camden Yards. Delays into the city. Southbound 895 slow approaching the Harbor Tunnel. There was a disabled vehicle slowing down southbound 95 at the Fort McHenry Tunnel. That is now clear. The Beltway jammed on the outer loop at Harford Road. The west side also moving slowly. Right now it will take an extra 5 minutes to travel from 795 to 95. There is a crash in Reisterstown, southbound Westminster Pike at Brian Daniel Court, and new delays eastbound 70 really slowing down into Ellicott City.
Well, we're still getting all of our delays and problems around the area in addition to that big problem in downtown Baltimore. So a busy morning here on Good Morning Maryland. Join us if you can for the cut-ins to Good Morning America coming up. First one's in about 25 minutes. You can also follow us on the website, WMAR2news.com, social media, or the Channel 2 app. My goodness, look at that sinkhole in downtown Baltimore.